Hello and welcome everybody. Today we are going into another race and genetics video. This time we are talking about and we'll be discussing the race and ethnicity of Jesus Christ our Lord. So I want to make a disclaimer very quick that this video is for research purposes. Okay, we're not going to make jokes. We're not going to get blasphemous. Okay, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what the race of Jesus Christ is. He could be from anywhere. It wouldn't matter because what he did on the cross, giving salvation to humanity, that's ultimately what matters. But one of my pet peeves and something that I really loathe now is the attempt to portray Jesus Christ as this brown looking, short, farmer, ogre looking guy. I remember this like back in high school 10 years ago, how when they wanted to racialize Jesus in the incorrect way, the non-historical way, they would basically would you guys probably have seen it. It was a BBC article 10 years ago saying, "Oh, this is how Jesus really looked." And it was this ogre, short-looking farmer, brown skin looking guy. That's more indicative of a lot of the peninsular Arabs than the Levant, because you guys have to understand the time and place Jesus Christ lived. Okay, a lot of the Middle East was entirely different during that time period than it was after 700 AD. Even up to date, there's so many changes throughout history. Unlike Europe, which don't get me wrong, Europe is it had changes, but a lot of it also stayed fairly homogeneous with their own people. Like the Byzantine Empire, they were Eastern European, they were the Eastern Roman Empire, still largely the same people today. The Roman Empire of the West is still largely the same people of today. They were Italic people, Mediterranean Spaniards. They were, obviously there was some Visigothic ancestries there as well. So, you're going to see some Germanic ancestry in the Spaniards, but largely they stayed homogeneous. There wasn't much non-European mixing there, but that's a topic for another day. I'm just giving you guys an example of how Middle East is very diverse. It's a very diverse place with multiple changes over time. So this is not a historical video. Well, it is, but you guys need to know the context. The Ottomans weren't around that during Jesus' time. The Ottomans took control a lot of of North Africa, of the Levant. So there was many changes, but during the time period of Jesus Christ, the genetics were largely indigenous Middle Eastern groups that were in the Levant. It wasn't peninsular Arabs. They were Semitic. The Judeans that lived during that time were Semitic. They were governed by Semitic people because the Roman Empire was diverse. But they were largely Semitic people. I'm not saying that the Levantine people are European, but to say that they were dark Arabs is not true. The Levant back then was a lot more. I'm not going to say European, but they had a lot more lighter skin, lighter features than they do today. Before the Arab conquest of the 7th century, you see, you can see like Lebanese people today, the ones that are not like admixed. Look at Syrian Psycho. The guy is Syrian. He's Levantine. He looks pretty white. That's how a lot of Levantine people looked like during that time period. I'm not saying they looked white, but they had lighter olive tone skin, oftentimes light eyes, not all the time, but it wasn't how it is today. So the race of Jesus Christ, we're gonna use this sample, Lebanese Arab Christian. So Obviously, this is a Lebanese sample. It's a Christian sample. They do differ from the Muslim ones, just to get that caveat out of the way. But if you see here on mygeneticsmap.com, one second, guys, it's got to zoom in here. They're somewhat related in proximity to Italians, Greeks, Sardinians. So they were not too genetically different than Southern Europeans. You can see how close they are in terms of genetics. Now, if I were to do Peninsular Arab, if it can come up here, let me just one second here, guys. One second. Let me just refresh this page. Peninsular. Oh, let me see here. Okay, let's do Saudi Arab. You're going to see that the genetic relation is a lot less. So the Peninsular Arabs are they look different. They are more darker. They have a different bone structure. Now let's refresh this again. The Lebanese Arab Christian sample, they were a lot closer genetically to the Southern European populations. So to answer the question if Jesus was white, likely he would have been, I'm not saying he would have been Nordic looking, but an olive-toned, light-skinned man with features that largely resembled Southern European populations. He probably would have mostly looked like a interchangeably from a Sicilian as a Judean person. So, and you guys are going to say, oh, but Jesus wasn't Lebanese, but largely during that time period, Lebanese Christian, it's mostly interchangeable. So my whole point of this video is to tell you guys that there's a lot of envy and resentment from people, guys like Sneeko, who want to say, oh, Jesus was a brown Arab. He wasn't. He was a light-skinned Levantine man. Okay, he was a tall man based on the Shroud of Turin, which I believe is true, which we'll get into another video. But Jesus Christ was a light-skinned Middle Eastern man. He, look at guys like Assad. He's in Russia right now. The guy had blue eyes, light skin. That's how Jesus probably would have looked like. Not these Egyptian inbred looking fucks that you see today. That have like 10% sub-Saharan African. They're not going to look like he probably didn't look like a Kurd or like a Zagrosian Iranian Neolithic farmer that you see, that you see in Iran, that you see in Iraq. Now those guys existed during that time period, but those guys were also darker skinned. Let's pull up a ancient sample. I wonder if they have it here. One second, guys. I don't know if they have the ancient Levant. I don't know if they have it. Oh, maybe this one here. Let's do another sample. Let's do the world sample. See here? Philistine, Israel, Levantine profile of the ancient world. Still a 0.11 distance from Italians. That's decently close. They're not Italians, but they're decently close. Let's reset this again. Arab Muslim. A Palestinian Muslim. Oh. even them are still pretty close. So you'll see. Now I want to conclude this video, guys, because it's you've got the point that Levantine people are genetically very close to Europeans, to Southern Europeans. They're not Southern Europeans, but a lot of them resemble Southern Europeans. They're a part of the Eastern Mediterranean cluster. So, to answer the question, was Jesus Christ white? He wasn't European. He was a Semitic Middle Eastern man. But he looked white. He had olive tone, light skin, based on the Shroud of Turin. And he was a tall, good-looking man. He was a carpenter. You got to be a Chad to be a carpenter. You can't be a ogre. You can't be an ogre with a recessed skull. You have to be a smart person to be a carpenter. You have to have intelligence. Your physiognomy has to be that of someone who is more so on the aristocratic side than the ogre-looking examples we see today. That whole thing is trying to demoralize Christians. If you think about it, it's a demoralization attempt to hate our God. So, anyways, guys, that's going to end the video today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Any comments, questions, and concerns, leave them in the comment section. And also any video suggestions, please leave them in the comment section as well, because I want to answer your questions. I want to get deep. I want to have a more deep dive into genetics and race and ethnicity. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one.